Hello guys, what's going on? My name is Sam, or Chaotic, and welcome back to another GTA 5 video here on my channel. So in today's video, I have 10 more tips, tricks, and secrets to share with you guys from the Doomsday Heist update in GTA Online. This being episode number 4. If you guys haven't checked out any of the previous episodes, I would definitely recommend doing so. You can of course find links to all of those in the video description, so definitely go and watch those if you haven't already. But let's get into this video and start things off with the first trick. And this first one involves the Oppressor Motorcycle, which of course was added into the game now 2 updates ago in the gunrunning updates. But by the looks of things, Rockstar have made some very unfortunate changes to this motorcycle in the Doomsday Heist update. That being, the brakes do not work. With the release of the Doomsday Heist update, it now takes an incredibly long time to bring the Oppressor to a stop, which at first I thought was just a mistake or some form of bug on my end, but as it turns out, no, Rockstar have made changes to the Oppressor and made it so when you try to brake with the wings out, they don't work properly and it takes you an incredibly long time to come to a stop. Now if you want to use the brakes, you have to put the wings in, only then the brakes will work properly. So if you're flying about and you come into land, make sure you put your wings in, then use the brakes, otherwise you won't stop properly and you'll most likely fall off and possibly die. But there's also a second alternative to this, that being just use the handbrake instead. For some reason the handbrake still works even when the wings are out. I'm not too sure why Rockstar left this one in, maybe they didn't realise or left it in by mistake, and if that is the case they'll most likely remove this feature very soon. But yes, if you want to come to a stop, rather than using your brakes, just use the handbrake instead, and it slows you down just as quickly. So there we go, if you've been driving around and flying about on the Oppressor over the past few days, and you're wondering why the brakes don't work properly when the wings are out, well that's the reason. Anyway, but let's move on to the second tip or trick in today's video, this involving the jetpack. Now, if you're in a public session and you see someone on a jetpack, whether they're just flying past or physically attacking you, maybe shooting at you with the machine gun turrets or the missiles, don't just pull out a homing launcher or an RPG or use some form of weaponized cannon on one of the vehicles. Instead, just pull out a machine gun or a sniper and just snipe the person on it. I know it's not quite as easy as pulling out a homing launcher and just locking onto them and firing one missile at them, but do bear in mind, if you blow up their jetpack, you'll have to pay the insurance cost of $20,000. Whereas if you just shoot the person and kill them on the jetpack with an assault rifle or a sniper, the jetpack will fall down to the ground and explode, and they will have to pay the insurance cost of $20,000. So definitely bear this in mind, as it will save you a lot of money, especially in the long run if this happens a couple of times. $20,000 may not sound like all that much, but a few claims like this and you could potentially lose out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Moving on though to another trick involving the jetpack, but this being one that you do not want to do, and I'll show you guys why that is in a few moments. But basically what you guys can do is get under the map by making your way to this location and simply flying through the ceiling. It is not solid, so you can get inside this building and then drop below the map. I did show this glitch off in a video earlier today with the Deluxo. It works perfectly fine with the Deluxo. You can fly under the map in this location with that. But for some reason, if you do this glitch with a jetpack, a few seconds later as you drop down onto the map, it will cause all sorts of problems. For some reason, it causes the jetpack to completely glitch out, and as you can see right now, the jetpack is spinning around in circles, even though I'm not pressing any buttons on my keyboard and mouse. And after a few seconds, you'll drop so far below the map, it will then respawn you on the map itself, and you'll still be spinning around like this with no control whatsoever. But at this stage, you're literally just a spinning bomb. Anything that touches the jetpack will cause it to explode. So as you're spinning around in the middle of the road, if a car drives past and touches you, it will cause it to explode. If you start swaying towards a building and you touch it, it will explode. If you even try and get off the jetpack like this, it will explode. I'm not really too sure how this works and why it does, but basically avoid trying to fly under the map with a jetpack, as it will completely glitch out and do this and eventually explode, which of course will cost you $20,000 to insure and replace. But then again, if you do have $20,000 spare, it is kind of cool and funny to watch, especially if you have a few friends as well to show this to, and they'll definitely want to know how you've done this. Anyways, moving on to the next trick. Now, in case you guys didn't know already, as you're flying along in the air in your Deluxo, you can jump out of it at any time you want, but it won't just drop down or go back to its normal driving mode and then drop down. Instead, it will just stay hovering in midair and very slowly descend. But what you can do is get yourself a helicopter or something to get above the vehicle and then parachute to it, and you can actually land on it as well as it ascends. But as a quick disclaimer, it's not the biggest object in the world, so it might take a few attempts to land on it, especially if you're not so good at parachuting. I was able to get this on my 3rd attempt, but it was down to pure luck. But nevertheless, when you're on it, you can stand on top of the Deluxo as it ascends very slowly, and if you want to, you can do whatever you want from up here. If you're into Snapmatics, you can get some pretty good photos of the city and the map, depending on where you place your Deluxo when you do this. You can stand up here and snipe various players or AIs from here as well. And anytime you want, you can get into the Deluxo. Just press the button you'd usually press to get into your vehicle, whether it's Y, triangle or F, and you'll teleport into the driver's seat and you can start flying about again. Now, although the Orbital Cannon is a complete waste of money in my opinion, it is still pretty powerful and it will destroy pretty much every vehicle there is in GTA Online, even the MOC, which can withstand up to 18 or 20 sticky bombs. But if you're inside the MOC, when someone shoots you with the Orbital Cannon, you'll actually survive the shot. The MOC won't, both the trailer and the truck will be destroyed, but you yourself will not be killed. Instead, when the vehicle's destroyed, you'll be teleported out of it, and it will then be returned to your gun-running bunker. And although you might expect the same results from the Avenger, there are a few things to bear in mind. Although it's pretty much the same as the MOC, it takes less sticky bombs to destroy it. So this time round, I operated the Orbital Cannon and my friend Zealdozer was in the back of it. And you can see, when I shot, it completely destroyed it. The entire thing is wiped out. But despite this, my friend Zealdozer wasn't killed. In fact, right now, he is still inside the back of the Avenger, even though it's completely destroyed and the rear door isn't even attached, which I'll show you guys in a few moments. And my friend was able to invite me into the Avenger as well, so I could go inside too. And by the looks of things, if you did have a vehicle in here, you could still customize it, you could still use the weapons bench as well and upgrade your weapons, but unfortunately the control panel for the weapons doesn't work anymore, and when you try and access the cockpit, it just kicks you out of the Avenger instead. Now once everyone leaves the inside of the Avenger, the thing will be completely destroyed and will then be returned to your facility, but if you stay inside, then technically, even though it's destroyed, you can stay inside forever. Which is certainly a pretty interesting one, and again, possibly just a bug or a mistake in-game, which I'm sure Rockstar will fix, seeing that with the MOC, you're kicked out of it when it's destroyed. Anyway, moving on then to this next one, and in case you guys haven't tried this or tested this yourselves just yet, you can pick up the new TM02 Kanjali tank with the cargo bob. Just get yourself the tank and a cargo bob and simply lower yourself down, and it will in fact hook on and you can pick it up and fly around. And what I found, it was much easier to fly around with the Kanjali attached than the Rhino tank. You can of course attach the old tank, but it was very difficult to actually fly around with it because it was so heavy. It would dictate the speed and where you're flying, but with the new Kanjali, it flies perfectly fine. And if you have a friend as well, they can operate the cargo bob whilst you sit in the tank, and you can operate the tank cannon as well, so you can shoot at people, other helicopters, or just random AIs on the ground. And you can also pick up the new Chernobog as well with the cargo bob, but do bear in mind it will be very difficult to actually fly around with it because the Chernobog is much bigger and much heavier than the cargo bob as well. So although you can pick it up and you can fly around with it, you have to be very careful because it will easily dictate where you're flying and could easily cause you to crash. But if you are careful and steady, it is possible to pick up the Chernobog and fly around with it attached. Now as you guys can see, this time round I was hoping that my friend Zealdozer could pick me up in the Chernobog whilst I was using the turret, but unfortunately this does not work. As soon as they pick you up, even if you have the missile mode activated and you're using the missile launcher, it will disable that and you won't be able to use the missiles whilst being transported around. Speaking of the Chernobog, now one thing you guys may not know if you've not used this is that it has an incredible range in terms of missile lock-on. So as you can see right now, one of my friends in GTA Online, NYL, is flying away from me, and you can see it is locked on for an incredible amount of time. There is no other vehicle or weapon in the game which will lock on for this sort of distance, and it's not until the helicopter reaches the Sandy Shores airfield, which from my location at my bunker is over a mile away. It's absolutely crazy how far it can lock on and shoot missiles from. Like right now in the gameplay, you can't even see the helicopter, it's only the flashing lights you can see vaguely in the distance. And of course, don't forget, the Chernobog has unlimited missiles as well. So you can literally sit in one location all day long and just fire missile after missile and never run out. Now, in one of the previous episodes of this series, 10 tips, tricks, and secrets from Doomsday Heist, I mentioned that if you make your way to your assistant in the new facility, you can get yourself some snacks, not just for free, but an unlimited amount, so you can completely fill your inventory for as many as you need. But what I didn't mention was that both you and your associates can do this as well. So anyone in your organization can also make their way to your assistant and get snacks for them, even though it's not their facility. Now, although there was a very similar feature with the CEO offices, only the owner of the office could get the snacks from their assistant. Other association members could not go to the assistant and get snacks. This only applies to the new facilities. Now, since the release of the Doomsday Heist update in GTA Online, there has been a huge issue across all platforms that loads and loads of players are facing, that being the insufficient funds alert message. Even if you have millions upon millions of dollars in-game, for some reason, players are receiving this message. For example, right now, I'm trying to insure some of my vehicles which have been destroyed, but for some reason it's saying that I cannot insure them, I haven't got enough money, even though, as you can see, I have over $5 billion in-game. And there's a few reasons why this happens. Basically, with the release of the Doomsday Heist update, Rockstar added a new system into the game which is supposed to crack down on people who have modded money in-game and limits what they can do. But it's also affecting players who haven't got modded money in-game. The system appears to be broken, and some players who are legitimate players are also having this issue. And the only fix there is at the moment is a temporary fix. You have to make your way to an ATM and you basically have to deposit and withdraw all your money every time you log into GTA Online to stop this message from being received. But this fix will not work if you have over $2 billion in-game. So basically, if you have more than that, for example, I have $5 billion, you'll have to try and lose some of that money so you have less than $2 billion for this to work. So either get spending, or you can create a second character and withdraw the money from the bank account into their wallets, so when you go back to your main character, you have less than $2 billion. Moving on though to the 10th and final tip or trick in today's video, this being more obvious if you've already played through the heist missions, but if you haven't and you're wondering whether you should play with 2, 3 or 4 players, bear this in mind. The more players you have, the less money you make overall. Basically, no matter whether there's 2, 3 or 4 of you, you receive the same amount of money overall, but that is then split more ways if there are more of you. So, if you want to make the most amount of money, play with just one other person to maximize the payouts on the heist missions. Anyway, but there we go then guys. With that being said, that's pretty much it then for today's video. Those are 10 tips, tricks and secrets that you need to know about from the Doomsday Heist update. Like I said, this was episode number 4, so if you guys haven't checked out any of the previous episodes, definitely go ahead and do so. You can find links to all of those in the video description. But if you guys could drop a like on this video, it would of course be greatly appreciated and it helps me out a lot. Let me know your thoughts and feelings about these 10 tips, tricks and secrets by leaving a comment. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, make sure you do, because I upload all the latest and the greatest Grand Theft Auto 5 content. So as always guys, thank you very much for watching, I will see you guys next time.